So let's pull away from Kieran for a second and back to the rest of you and what you see. As Kieran's flying away, all of a sudden a bunch of these creatures kind of like heads jerk and they like look in the direction of where she is and where she starts going. And many of them turn and start plodding their way or running their way if they're out of the water in the direction of where she is. Around the forest, you can actually hear a lot of movement heading in that direction. And I mean a lot of movement heading in that direction. Clearly she's going the correct path, or at least was noticed by them, and they're able to communicate with each other one way or another. And many all over are moving forward and towards Kieran. Roll for me perception checks, the three of you.
Perception, we're hearing.
Solid rolls across the board. Solid rolls. So it is as I just described to you, but beyond that, you also hear strange screams coming from elsewhere in the woods as well. They're out of sight from where it is that you are. You can't see where the screams are behind trees, round hills, and whatnot, but you hear strange screams triggered as many of these things are flying towards Kieran. One of the things it was as Kieran's flying away. I'm sorry.
Oh.
As these creatures are charging towards Kieran.
If these
Kieran's
guys
flying away.
start
My apologies.
flying,
No. None of them are flying. None of them are flying. My apologies. I misspoke.
Myself, honestly.
So yeah, it's like Sebaku, please just end it. So so as it's happening, a number of them chase off after Kieran. So many of them chase off after Kieran. You believe it's quite feasible again for you to continue navigating forward. It actually seem to be about as dense as they were, leading up to the area around where you would cast your locate object spell there, Will. So you believe you can actually continue navigating forward from here.
I want to continue navigating forward stealthily, but I want to follow some of these creatures rather than spending my time
follow like the wake.
Looking. Yeah. Like as they like move, I'm gonna move behind them stealthily, essentially, just trying
logically,
to stay.
like they would move in like in a point towards Kieran. So it'd be like
so if you imagine there's a huge area of them spanning all around, and Kieran is flying in a straight line. She's not, but assume she's flying in a straight line. It's almost like they all kind of are collapsing in a path, rushing up towards where she's going. Now it's not like a super thin path. It's a very, very broad, very wide path. It's always kind of pouring in. It gets thinner and thinner from behind, but bigger and bigger as they're kind of like pouring around her too. So that all being said, we're gonna get you guys rolling in a second. Kieran, do me a favor. You roll me a perception check.
Mm-hmm.
Ollie, how many action points do you have left?
8.
Me and you have 8, so we gotta do this big because they don't have any.
I don't need them.
I got 1. All right. Don't
sorry.
count me out yet, boy.
Sorry, boy.
So
check to save everyone.
Kieran, you don't notice the scream because obviously you're preoccupied, flying quickly, and probably cussing a lot. And you don't notice anything else as well. So you just continue pushing forward. Everybody else, the goal is to move slowly and stealthily.
Yep.
Okay. Then you're going to continue doing what you were. Excuse me.
So stealth check.
Mm-hmm. Stalbor, after you're done making stealth check, after everybody's done, could you roll me an intelligence roll?
Everyone had 10.
It's not Arcana or Investigation or anything.
No.
I want to add an action point to that. Big boy. And it is big boy.
Watching the way that they're reacting, the many's of them, charging into this like horde rushing forward around Kieran, you come to the conclusion it's very unlikely they're just coming up from behind, because many more well outside the range of sight to her are reacting as well. and not necessarily just reacting to other ones in like a chain around it reacting, like simultaneously reacting very far back as very up close, almost as though they're all able to notice it at once or close enough to. So that being said, you find it very unlikely they're just charging towards her from behind. It's very likely that this whole area of the forest, Kieran is an epicenter to the whole forest charging towards her from the whole 360.
Good. I don't think I'd even mention that because that's kind of like going even more according to plan. That's like rolling an advantage in freaking Star Wars. That's good. So we're gonna blow them up.
All right, there you go.
In theory.
I'm hoping we kill the thing.
Lots of lightning bolts, explosions, necrotic fireball. Awesome. Just get them all together.
So everybody hang out.
Push them all.
Push them all together. Yeah, we're just gonna keep going.
Well, their numbers are much greater than any number of necrotic fireballs will be able to hit in one boom. But
You bunch them all up.
you're getting them together, so at least they're semi-contained. It's battlefield management. So all right. So what you're doing is, Kieran, you're charging forward, trying to find where this place is. It's back to you again. Roll me another survival check, followed by another acrobatics check, please, and thank you.
It's a lot of rolling. Ooh.
21's good. 12's not bad.
So you're keeping your bearings still and trying to find where it is that you need to go. Once again, struggling to get your way around these branches and whatnot. As you were flying and made your way through that big thing of vines, you tried to get through another entanglement again and actually got caught up inside some of them for a little bit. Creatures start kind of coming up at you and clambering up trees and whatnot to get to you, and you're like, oh shit. And this is the moment where you're able to look around and start seeing that around you isn't like, 10, 15 of them. You realize there are dozens of them in your immediate vicinity. And looking beyond that, you see there are more pouring over. And you're just a quick glance, line of sight, just a quick guesstimation, easily 100 of them in your line of sight pouring in your epicenter, and even more pouring over hills and into sight from around trees and whatnot. It's not a very pleasant sight. Starting now, you believe you're getting pretty damn close to where it is that you needed to go based off the loose information Bellum was able to give you. Do you want to just kind of keep plowing forward, or do you want to start making your way around and looking for the actual cave that you were looking for this whole time?
We're looking for a cave?
That's what we had said. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Saber Shard fell into a cave. I mean, logically, it fell, so they would be like...
It'd be like a crater.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for that.
Well, but it fell a long time. It wasn't like it fell super recently.
It's still, you'd be able to see it in theory.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a mountainous region.
True. But remember, it wasn't like it fell like a year ago and there's still a huge crater with no plants there or something like that. Like, there is growth there. So you're looking for a terrain dip. Yep.
That's why I figured that's what you actually meant when you were saying that she can't just fly above the trees, because like, oh shit, that was kind of my thought.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So we're all on the same page then. Awesome. So, Kieran, your goal is to start searching around now, or do you just want to get away from this spot?
I'm gonna start searching around because I'm on a time limit.
Okay, so roll me your a survival check again, and roll me an investigation or perception. No, perception check. Okay. So as you're flying about here and there, trying to as you're keeping your bearings and trying to... Oh, I'm sorry. Roll me another acrobatics. Because it's a matter of whether or not you're going to get tangled up or something. Okay. So you're actually rolling some pretty damn solid rolls consistently.
Right.
Good for you. So as you're navigating through this place, keeping your bearings, like, no, I'm pretty sure I got to go that way from where you had said originally, and where you had recalibrated it to. You're making your way through these vines, hanging low, getting into the reach of where these creatures are from time to time. Kieran is doing the best she can to just avoid them overall. While you're flying about, you believe you see the bowl, where it is that you need to go, where Crater had formed at one point in time long ago. You believe you see it because there is a rather uniform and circular curvature of the ground that's happening. However, in the center of that curvature, there is a swamp lake that exists there. It's just had formed over time because of, it being the lowest point, but you're able to see a solid circle around this. What feeds even more into your belief that this is the correct spot is all around the circle, you see so many of these creatures kind of standing up and moving, starting to make their way about.
Yeah, that's cool. These bitches don't have range, so I don't care.
Oh, they have a little range.
Acid throw
About
up.
it.
Yeah, they can acid throw up 20 feet.
Was it 20 feet?
Yeah, or 15.
I thought it was like
Don't
immediately
test
adjacent
them.
area.
Is the point.
It's
I'm not getting
15.
closer to find
Yeah,
out. But...
15.
Yeah, it was like burning hands.
All right, cool. I'm gonna fly to the center of the lake.
Okay. So you're going to try to make your way over to the center of the lake, flying over in that direction. So luckily, the center of the lake doesn't have a ton of trees. It's not like there's a solid canopy going over it. But as we were describing beforehand, you never would have been able to find it from overhead because of the fact that you wouldn't be able to see the rim. There are tons of trees there. So as you on the rim, as opposed to the rest of the lake, the middle of the lake does have a few large ones that grow from it. So you're making your way over to the lake to try to look there. As you're getting closer and closer, something does catch your eye. You're looking, and what you see is there, as you're like getting close to where the lake is, you look over and up. It's kind of like, oh, good, there's the sky. Here's an opportunity for me to, if I need to, kind of like escape, go up and head back that way. I can avoid all of this garbage. But as you do so, you notice there are a few pterodactyls soaring around overhead.
I was just gonna say we haven't seen a single dinosaur yet.
God damn it.
That's fine. I thought I've killed pterodactyls before.
Yeah.
True.
Weren't they more dead?
It is
though?
true. That's the funny thing. It's
They were
not
chained
even
up.
like extended universe. This happens.
Yeah, this
in the
actually
main
happened.
timeline.
Yeah, they were chained up.
They were chained up, but
You don't need to.
I'm
broadcast that.
I'm gonna ignore the pterodactyls for now,
Sure,
and then leave me alone.
sure.
you look like a nice snack.
So you ignore the pterodactyls and just are going to fly to the center of the lake.
Mhm.
Peeling back to everybody else who is trying to make your way there, you're gonna have to do me another check. You're gonna have to do me another check.
Ooh.
This is going to be stealth check, yes, but I suppose you don't really need a survival. You're just kind of following the path.
Follow the horde. Ooh, Reich's killing it with 27. And
Okay.
20 and 20. Why
Yep.
do we keep rolling the same stealth, Ollie? That's weird.
Okay.
Is it?
So you guys are continuing your way along this path. Honestly, it's one of those things where the numbers, if you had to guess the number of these creatures that are probably around here, thousands. There must be throughout this forest thousands of these creatures. Just because of the sheer number you see pouring, at least from the side that you're on of where Kieran is flying through. Easily thousands of them. All three of you guys roll me a perception check. You're a little less frantic than she is, so you can notice more details. It's funny. Stalbor, I see an 18, says natural 1 on the actual die. That's funny. So, Stalbor unfortunately isn't able to notice anything additional while he's making his trek along. He's just trying to do the best he can to get there, to stay alive, and so on and so forth. So he's plodding along. However, both Bellum and Reich, both of them, are able to notice some unique features about the creatures that you see running along. They're not all human. they're not all orc. They're not all hobgoblin. The number of them, there's so many of them. The most prevalent race that you see amongst them happens to be, most prevalent races happen to be orc and hobgoblin. But that kind of makes sense when you look at them and how much like moss is growing down their sides and on them and whatnot. It makes sense. From ages past, they must have been converted into these creatures. You see so many of them. You see lizard folk, you see halflings, you see so many of these creatures. As a matter of fact, the race that you see the least of is elves. Actually, you don't think you've seen a single elven one of these creatures so far. But again, that also makes sense because elves have only recently come to the shores of Corvair, at least that you know of in modern history. They first arrived here during this thing's great slumber, so it wouldn't have been able to add elves to its mix. But you do see a whole slew of different creatures, a bunch of dwarves and whatnot, that have been converted into these creepers, moving throughout the woods. But something else also catches your eye as you're getting closer and closer. You see other lizard folk ones, but these lizard folk ones look different than the rest. They look brown, but have a greenish tinge to them. They move a lot more lithe than the other ones that you see, which are kind of like shambling their way forward. They seem to be a bit newer, a bit more fresh. And something else that makes them stand out, occasionally you'll hear a screaming sound, and of course kind of everybody's head snaps to see what it is. And it's actually Bellum that notices those screaming sounds are actually coming from the lizard folk looking ones. I guess a part of them is still alive enough that they can make noises.
Yeah,
Do
burn
these
the whole thing,
creatures-
start from the beginning.
Do these creatures' heads turn toward the screaming ones, or are they just completely okay with it?
They don't seem to notice it.
Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna continue forward and just note this. I wouldn't say anything specifically. Just trying to stay quiet. So
Cool. Kieran, you are flying to the center of the lake. So you fly out to the lake, and you're floating over it, much like I imagine like a scene from Dragon Ball Z with Goku or whatever, just kind of like floating over the lake and the water rippling underneath. Water rippling not because of your
I
sheer
don't get that
power,
close. Yeah.
but because the wind is always whipping around you.
Yeah, I don't get that close to the water.
Oh no, you're not in the alligator jump up and bite your ankle reach.
All right, cool.
You're high enough up that the pterodactyls notice you. Don't worry.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of look around, maybe shape water a little bit, to like stir things up, see if I can see anything under there.
Sure. So, shape water is for a 5-foot cube. So when you cast shape water, it is not a concentration spell, so you're good. So you cast shape water, more or less just kind of like you reach down, and as the water swirls open to reveal what's immediately beneath it, 5 feet down. Only 5 feet down, you don't see anything. Now swamps don't tend to be very deep, but only 5 feet is not enough to see down in the center of the lake.
All right. Well, you know
I'm
what?
curious.
Let's try to wake things up.
Hold on 1 second. Can you do that twice to get the total of 10 feet, or is it every time you do that? It's
It says if you cast a spell multiple times, you can have no more than 2 of its effects. Yeah, so I can do it.
so. Hold on, is it 2 of the same or 2 different ones?
Two of any.
Okay, cool.
Two of any
So you can
effect.
actually do it a
It's the same
second
as
time.
Boulder.
Cool. There we go. So you can actually do it a second time. And so, in the center of the lake, when you do that again, you can actually start to see like the underwater roots and whatnot, and things that are rotting down below, decaying, knocked over trees down that 10 feet deep, cresting out of the area that you've revealed. So there's no question, this lake is barely more than 10 feet deep at its center, but it's like thick, murky, gross water.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure like this is
I
the
think
creature.
we found where this thing is.
So I'm going to fly up back up a little bit, and I'm going to do a chromatic orb. like just at the water,
Mm-hmm.
doing lightning damage.
Sure. So you want to shoot lightning damage down into just like that bottom of your 10-foot gap.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So you throw your
Get
chromatic orb
reaction.
down there. It's easily a hit for the very center, very bottom of it, and do a huge amount of like bursting outwards electrical damage to the area down there. When you do so, you do get a reaction, but because you had flown up higher, because you had cast a spell and whatnot, you can see that the pterodactyls went from noticing you to they're
Yeah.
starting to circle. There's 3 of them.
Mhm.
Okay. So you
If they're
cast it down
certain,
into
like pack animals, I wonder if I kill one, the other ones will go away.
it's feasible. So, but hold on a second. So you do cast it down into the water. You don't see anything happen. You don't see any reaction immediately down there.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna kill one of the pterodactyls.
Sure.
I'm gonna do a second level chromatic orb. Did I hit it?
A 17 is definitely going to hit a pterodactyl.
Okay. Mind
Are you
you,
trying to tell me you don't know the armor class of a pterodactyl off by heart, Mr. Delrick?
Worst DM ever.
As you Google pterodactyl 5e rules.
Well, they don't exist in 5e, so I'm
Yes, they
looking
do.
up.
They absolutely do.
In which book?
Suck less.
Monster manual, dude.
Monster manual.
Straight up
Suckless.
normal monster manual. I'm gonna find them. I'm not fighting them, so it's okay. I'm gonna take you a picture.
Oh, do they?
There's a dinosaur section here.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think there's pterodactyls in there. Because I looked it up
Pretty sure
before, ages
Like,
ago.
in Hollows, then. I have
there's
to-
pterodactyls and Volos.
Oh, Volos. They might be there.
Pteranodon. Look up that.
I have Volos. Hold on one second. Because
I think
last
it's
time I
just
just
under-
converted some old Pathfinder rules is how I did it.
I mean, they're
There's a
probably
bunch of-
very similar, right?
I think it's
a bunch of
Pteranodon instead of
dinosaurs.
pterodactyl.
In Volos.
I'm actually curious. If you
Welcome
find the
everyone
page...
to the rule review hour.
The rule
I don't-
review hour.
There's Petzalolica, the most focus.
I don't have my book, but we are approaching the break mark. If we want to take a break
Maybe
and
not.
this up.
Yeah, I don't think so, man.
Maybe not. Fair,
Yeah.
fair.
Because I'm in Volos and it's not in Volos.
I could have sworn I've seen them before.
Funny.
I mean, wait,
The
Scott, you
one
used them
dinosaur they
before.
missed.
Yes!
Yeah, but he.
I converted on the fly.
Oh.
Yeah. So, anyways, Kieran, Heart of the Storm, 6th level, you gain resistance to thunder. In addition, casting a spell at 1st level or higher deals lightning damage. Storm magic erupts from you. The eruption causes the creature of your choice that you can see within 10 feet of you to take lightning or thunder damage. So, what you want to do is
Yeah,
wait.
Pteranodon. Page
It,
8,
no,
that's
it's
what they're
mostly
saying.
just scary as well.
Oh, to
Like
be
it's mostly
loud.
like intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She goes all like Kerrigan for a bit.
Gotcha. So, what did you say? Page
The
80,
idea
Will?
is that I
Monster Manual?
Page 79 or 80. Yeah. Monster manual.
1 second.
Told you.
we could have just taken the 15-minute break.
So, anyways,
Yeah, but
as I said beforehand, you hit. There's no question about that. Roll your damage for me.
AC was 13.
Ooh, nice.
That's good. That's fried chicken right there.
Yeah, right? I rolled really well on that
If
one.
it wasn't about to land in the swamp, that would be totally edible.
I could try to reroll the
True
two.
story.
Right,
I
power,
was
yeah.
gonna say I could try and catch it. and
HP
then
is
eat it.
13, I believe.
No, I do really want to try to grapple one of these things, but they probably have really high acrobatics checks.
Wow, that's funny. These are very, very, very different from the Pathfinder versions. Pathfinder versions are
Let's
large
use the
creatures.
weaker one.
Yeah. Well, Pathfinder version they're large creatures, and this
They
one
should be
they're
large.
medium creatures.
Well, I mean, you know, it depends on the actual herb you're talking about, I guess.
Yeah. So anyways, you do 23 points of damage. 23 points of damage is a devastating amount of damage, and hurts the creature. You said it, the electricity. So when you hit it with the ball of the chromatic orb of the ball of lightning, right in the chest, and immediately just it starts like dive bombing towards the ground. It's able to pull out last second, like woof, woof,
That would
from
be a
hitting the
great
ground.
time to try and grapple it if I wanted to. Is it large size?
It is a large size.
Medium size.
It is a large-sized creature, and you want to try to like fly at it to do Heart of the Storm, or do you Heart of the Storm instantly?
I can use my bonus action to move towards it, using my other ability, right?
Sure. So as it's dive bombing, you because you hit it with the electricity, that's when you want to like fly at it and use your Heart of the Storm, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. So you do the Heart of the Storm, and how much damage the eruption causes a creature within 10 feet of you to take lightning damage equal to half your sorcerer level, which for you is
My sorcerer level is 6, so it would be 3 damage.
3 damage. So with your describe Heart of the Storm for me really quickly, please.
It's happened a couple times, but it hasn't been effective. It hasn't done damage to anything. Whenever Kieran casts a thunder or lightning spell, it's almost like a mini like portal opens up to whatever that plane is. I can't remember the name of the plane out of the top of my head, but just like it's almost like sparks of energy from that plane are forming around her, and just tons of electric like pouring off of her.
Gotcha. It's Serenia.
Serenia? Okay.
Serenia. Yeah. So
I imagine it's like really similar thematically to when Stelborg casts Horror Malbar. Like it's just like you see like, these like little tiny pockets rather than the one big one.
The pockets of electricity that forms around you and everything, the little static energy that builds up, ends up throwing a small burst over and not like this like actual chain of lightning, but like a little small burst of lightning happens over next to the pterodactyl and fries it just enough that the thing just gives up and flops down to the ground and just into the water.
Into the water?
Yep. Down below and into the water. The other 2 pterodactyls pull back a considerable amount. They don't stop their circling. They don't stop their watching, but they pull way back from where they were. So looking down at the water below, because obviously the effects did not stop there and whatnot, you're able to see that in the water you see an alligator is making its way over towards the body of the pterodactyl rather slowly. It's funny because usually alligators can move quickly inside water, especially when they're moving towards prey. Roll me a perception check.
It's not an alligator at all.
It's a crocodile.
It's a crocodile.
So you notice that it's making its way slowly over towards the body of the pterodactyl. Eventually it gets there, and its jaws just kind of like reach out and snap at the thing, and starts pulling it back towards the shore where it can eat its prey after it kind of like breaks its body more and more to make sure that it can't fight back. So all right, awesome. Kieran, you are looming over the lake with 2 pterodactyls looming over you. Your friends are trying to make their way in. And you are completely surrounded by countless numbers of creeper zombie things, plant zombies. Why don't we stop now, take a break. I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee, and we'll see how things play out. So, see everybody in a few minutes.